Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today I'm going to sew along with you the necessary clutch wallet. This is the go-to wallet of all time. I don't think I know anyone who hasn't made one of these yet. It's by Emmaline bags. Thank you, Janelle, for allowing me to do this tutorial. This was the first wallet I ever made 4 years ago when I started sewing, and it is still my go-to and my #1 selling wallet of all time at my markets. Let me show you what this wallet is all about. So this one here, I actually have this decorative turn lock. This one is from RC Threadcraft. It's a butterfly. You could also do this with a magnetic snap if you wanted to, or a spring snap. You could do whatever you like. I usually use this front flap as my decorative flap and then a solid color for everything else. When you open it up, you have slip pocket here with 6 card slots. Same with on the other side. We have a divider in here, a zipper pocket here. It'd be very easy to turn this section into a zipper pocket as well. I've seen it done many times. The only thing I really do different than the pattern in this is I have a really hard time myself sewing these gussets, so I choose to rivet them in place instead. Never had a problem with that coming apart. I show you how I do that in this tutorial, and also how I turn this. I do it a little different than the pattern. In the pattern, there is an opening left on the main body piece. I leave an opening right smack dab in the middle here for turning. It just makes things so much easier, and I, again, show you how I do that. I'm happy to say that because I've made so many of these, I actually invested in the acrylic templates by So Clever for the necessary clutch wallet, and what a time saver. Oh my gosh. If you make a ton of necessary clutch wallets like I do, it is definitely worth investing into getting those acrylic templates, because it cut my cut time down so much. It cut my marking time down so much. It's not a necessity, but it is definitely something that really helps when you're trying to turn a lot of these out. I have a link to that down below in the description. Also a link to where the pattern is for the necessary clutch wallet. Both companies are Canadian, which makes me very happy. Anyways, this is a domestic machine friendly pattern. Once again, all depending on what you are choosing for your materials. When I was making this on my Elna 680, I used to do it primarily in all cottons. Completely domestic machine friendly. Then when I moved to my Juki 2010Q, I kind of would do a mixture of cottons. Usually I do my flap in a cotton and I do this in a vinyl or what have you, or vice versa. But a mixture. I'm on an industrial. The whole exterior is done in vinyls, and my interior is all done in cottons. Interfacing in this bag, I used EB Fuse Light, which is a medium woven interfacing for all of my cotton pieces, except for the card slots. I substituted in EB Fuse Medium, which is similar to an 809, but better as it's woven and it doesn't pull away and it adheres so well. Using EB Fuse Medium is my favorite interfacing to use for my card slots, so I use that for my card slots. In my flap here, I have a Decaville Heavy. You could also use Peltex. And for my exterior, because I used vinyl, I didn't interface it at all, just to keep some of that bulk down. Again, my turn lock is from RC Threadcraft. My #3 zipper and zipper pulls and rivets are from Emmaline bags. My faux leather is the Rex faux leather from Emmaline bags in black. And this butterfly is something that I had in my scraps. I believe I purchased it from My Punk Broderie like 3 years ago. I don't remember what it's called or even if they have it anymore. Yeah, I just used up scraps for that. What else? So once again, you'll see me in the tutorial pulling out the acrylic templates here and there. No, you do not need to have them. You can definitely use the pattern pieces as well. If you saw my pattern pieces and saw how well loved they are, you'll see why I actually invested in those acrylic templates my first time using them. And I tell you, definitely worth the money for me anyways. I do also have, this was the first bag of the month sew-alongs that we did back in March when we first started out. So on the membership side, I do have a slowed down version of this, of how to make this, where we were live. If you remember, you can go ahead and you can go all the way back and you can watch the classes for the necessary clutch wallet with the live chat replays. If you wanted something that wasn't as condensed as this tutorial, that's all down below too. Yeah, anyways, that's enough chatter. How about we get to making this wallet? So I thought I would start off. These are the acrylic templates I was mentioning in the intro. They're really awesome. They have all your markings. These brown ones here are for the interfacing. The clear ones are for your fabrics. They have everything marked out on them. I just enjoyed using them so much. Okay, so what we're going to need, you're going to need a turn lock, number 3 zipper tape, and a number 3 zipper pull, as well as rivets. You're going to need a small 1.5 by 1.5 Peltex piece, your 2 zipper tabs, which I'm doing different. I've cut these 1.5 by 1.5 inches as well. Your main exterior piece, I do not have this interface because I'm using vinyl. Your lining piece, interfaced with the woven interfacing. Card slot back. Again, all of my cotton pieces here are with EB Fuse Light or a medium woven interfacing. 2 zipper outer pockets, 2 zipper lining pockets, your 2 flat pieces backed with EB Fuse Light on one side and Decaville Heavy outside of the seam allowances on the main, and my 2 card slots, which I have backed with EB Fuse Medium. All right, so we're going to take our flat pieces, put them right sides together, and we are going to clip them together 3 sides, not the top long side, but the other sides. You'll notice that my flap is a different shape than in the pattern. The acrylic templates come with different shapes as well. So this shape here is the Betty shape. We're going to go around and sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance around those 3 clipped sides. All right, so if I was using the traditional piece, which is curvy, this is the acrylic template for that, I would go ahead with my pinking shears and trim that seam allowance down with those. Because I'm using the Betty acrylic template, where my sharp corners are here, I'm just going to clip them kind of on an angle as close to the stitching as I can without cutting through my stitches. So the acrylic templates come with multiple different flap shapes. It was a real treat to have that in my kit. Once you have that done, go ahead and turn this right side out. Push out your seams, nice finger roll them in between your fingers. Use your pointy toes to get your corners good. I'm going to take this to my iron and give it a good press from my lining side. That's all done. So now we are going to baste along that top straight edge and then top stitch along the other 3 edges with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. I'm just double checking my tension because these stitches do show through the other side, so you want to make sure your bobbin thread looks just as nice as your top thread. That's one thing about an industrial, is you constantly have to check your tension. All right, so now what we want to do is along that top straight edge, we want to find our center. And I'm going to use my pattern piece, or in this case, my acrylic piece. And along that top edge, I'm going to line my pattern piece centered along the top. And that is going to give me placement for where I want to put the female end of my turn lock. So I've made a little dot in that dot that's on the pattern piece. Again, the pattern piece and the acrylic templates are pretty much the same. And we are going to install that centered right in there. Here's another thing I found really cute is I got a whole bunch of these turn lock templates from So Clever as well, and this one is for that butterfly, so I'm just matching up that center, and this gives me a place where I can draw that hole I'm going to punch and my screw marks. And then yeah, can you see that there? It's really good. One thing I did wrong here was I also marked the little hangy hole for the template, which is not part of the screw holes. So hey, that's what a rivet for. We now have a decorative rivet in that hole mark. Okay, on the back side of our main piece, we're going to take our pattern piece and we are going to draw out that square. And this is where we're going to put that small piece of Peltex that we cut out. This is going to give a little extra support behind the male side of our turn lock. So you want to find the top and bottom centers. You can use your pattern pieces for this. Again, pattern pieces and acrylic templates pretty much doing the same thing here for you. And also mark where you are going to be putting your male turn lock. I believe in the pattern you measure up 2.5 inches here. Go ahead and install that. So I put a little piece of duct tape on the back side of the prongs for a little extra stability. My center marks here, I'm just going to put little small clips in just because that is my preference. And now with that piece right side up and the turn lock is at the bottom, the male part, we're going to have our flap wrong side up, so the right sides together, match up that center, and we're going to go ahead and baste the flap onto our exterior main panel. Now that that's done, okay, this is my trick for turning. This is a little different than how we do it in the pattern. I'm finding my centers. Now what we're going to do is fold this piece in half like so, and on the fold we're going to try to find as center as we possibly can, and we're going to draw a 2.5 inch line. Now double check that this is center. I obviously did not eyeball that very well, so let's redraw that line. It's very important that this is nice and center, 2.5 inches inwards. Do a little cut to that line, and what that's going to do is give us a 5-inch turning hole. So it worked out that these were about 4.5 inches in. This hole will get closed up when we finish the bag. It's miraculous how it happens. I'll show you that later. So go ahead and match up that top and bottom center with your your lining main panel and your exterior main panel right sides together. In the pattern, you can also do it this way as well, is along one edge you would leave an opening for turning and then turn those edges over and top stitch. This way is just so much easier in my opinion, but both ways are equally good. Now we're going to go ahead and sew around this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. I like to do just a little bit of a back stitch just where the flap starts and stops, just to give it a little extra security. Now we're going to go around just the curved edges with our pinking shears, just so we end up having a nice round shape. These curved sides end up forming our gussets. Once you've done that, go ahead and turn this right side out through that 5-inch opening in the hole. Be careful not to tear it too much. Take it nice and slow, be very gentle. Once you get that flap out, it comes pretty easy. Go through and press out all of those seams nice and tight. And from the lining side, I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick press. Okay, so we're not going to worry about the opening in the bottom of the bag, or the bottom there, that is fine. We're going to go ahead right now and top stitch all the way around that main panel. Again, that opening that we have, it will end up getting closed off when we start installing the guts of the wallet. So there's no need to stress about it. It's not going to be shown, or you're not going to be able to see it in the end. Once again, make sure that your stitching is good on the top and on the bobbin side, as the stitching will show on both sides. That is done. I'm going to go ahead and install my nameplate. I like to do it right about here, and I'm going to install that through that opening that we had for our turning hole. So you can see I've done that there. I've put duct tape on the prongs. You can now kind of fold it in the sides and fold it together and kind of get an idea what your wallet's going to look like. That's the exterior done. All right, so now we're going to work on our slots, our card slots here. Please follow the pattern for your measurements. Mark one side, which is my left side here, with the word top. I'm going to use this amazing acrylic template to draw my lines, so I don't have to do any measuring, which is amazing. Now we have our top to the left. We have it right side up, and we're going to fold it along that first line, right sides together. Give it a good press. I'm going to start the accordion construction of these pockets. I like to take a piece of cardstock here and I put it along that line to bring it wrong sides together. I like to use the cardstock because I'm kind of pressing blind and I want to be able to make sure that I'm getting that line nice and straight. So again, right sides together, next line card slot or cardstock, wrong sides together, next line right sides together. You will repeat this process with the other one as well. Once you have those all pressed, you just want to make sure that all your card slots are looking even. You can kind of adjust it a little bit as I'm doing here, and then give it a good press when everything looks good where you want it to be. Okay, so that's done. I'm just going to make sure that my card slots all fit my card here, and they do. Now what we're going to do is top stitch along the folded edges as well as base the sides. So to do my first edge, I'm kind of folding that top raw edge in behind so I can expose that first folded card slot where I am going to top stitch. Do it again with the other, fold all of that behind, do the next one. And again with the next one. Put everything back into place and then go ahead and baste the sides with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance to hold our accordion card slots in place. Repeat with the other one. Okay, so that is done. Now we want to make sure this measures right. So these need to be 8 inches, and we want from the top to the bottom to be 4.5 inches. So I'm measuring from the top of the card slots and trimming off any excess to make sure that this is 8 inches by 4.5 inches. And I'm good. Do the same with the other one. Once that is done, we're going to put these right sides together, matching up the bottom of each of the card slots. So our cards are facing opposite directions, right sides together. We're going to sew across there with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Once that's done, go ahead and press that seam open. So that's pressed open. Now we want to divide our card slots. So I'm measuring in 4 inches from one side and drawing a line, making sure we're even on both sides. And then we're going to top stitch up this way, pivot, and come back down. And this is going to give us our 12 card slots. The reason I go back down is I feel that it just gives a little bit extra strength to our card slots, as cards will be coming in and out, and you do not want those stitches to pop. Okay, now that's done, we're going to take our card slot back, that's hard to say, put them right sides together. Be aware of which is the top and the bottom of our card slots. You're only going to clip the top and the bottom, and then we're going to sew across that top and a bottom with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, once that's done, go ahead and turn this right side out and take it to your iron and give it a really good press. Once it's pressed, we're going to go ahead and we are going to baste the open sides, top stitch along those seams that we had just sewn, and then we are finished with our card slot piece for now. All right, so now let's work on our zipper pockets. So what I'm going to do is take my zipper tabs, fold them in half, open them up, fold the long edges into the center and fold them over, kind of like double fold bias tape. Now we're going to open them up. We have our 2 folded edges into the center. We're going to put our zipper tape inside like so. We have no raw edges here except for the 2 little edges on the side, and go ahead and top stitch those into place. You could also use double fold bias tape for this if you prefer, rather than cutting zipper tabs. I have done that in the past. Okay, once that's done, we are going to go ahead and trim up those tabs so they are the same width as our zipper tape. Now I'm going to be connecting these with double-sided tape as I usually do. If your machine does not like double-sided tape, definitely use clips instead. On our zipper panels, or zipper lining panels, I'm going to measure in 1 inch from each of the long sides here, on each long sides, and our zipper should fit perfectly in there. I'm going to take some double-sided tape with my lining piece right side up, put some tape in between those marks, take my zipper, which is also right side up, and stick this down in between those marks. Now I'm going to take my zipper pocket outer piece and put some double-sided tape along the tops. Make sure you're using the right width. It should be the same width as our lining piece. Some double-sided tape along that top part there. Put this right sides together with our lining piece and our zipper piece like so. Make sure you have the right width. I might have cut my lining pieces just a smidgen too big, but that's okay. We'll trim that up. Just make sure it's nice and centered. And we're going to sew across there with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now when doing zippers, I strongly recommend always changing into your zipper foot. Trust me, it's going to give your zippers such a higher end quality. They're going to be nice and straight. You're not going to be as frustrated. Trust me, just do it. Go ahead and sew across with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. For the 30 seconds it takes to change it out, trust me, it is definitely worth it. Okay, now we're going to pull these wrong sides together and give that a good press at the iron. Now that they're pressed, we're going to go ahead and top stitch through that seam that we just did. You will repeat this whole process with the other 2 zipper pocket pieces. Okay, and at this point you can change back into your standard foot. All right, so this is what that looks like now. So you want to open your zipper all the way up. We're going to bring our outer pieces right sides together and our lining pieces right sides together. Where our seam is here, we want to make sure that's matched up and kind of folding into where the lining pieces are. Go ahead and put a couple clips there. Do the same on the other side. We definitely want these seams to match up so we have a nice fluid line there for because these zipper pockets will be seen. Okay, and then go ahead and clip all the way around except for that very bottom part, which is our lining. We're going to leave our lining bottom open. And that'll be for turning this right sides through. And those 3 clip sides, we're now going to go ahead and sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now when you get to where those zipper tabs are, you shouldn't have any issues. You want to make sure you are not sewing through those zipper tabs. I've left enough of a gap that there should be about a 1/4 of an inch space, so there should be no issues. All right, so go and clip your corners as close as you possibly can to our stitch line and turn it right sides through. We do that little snip so we get nice, sharp, pointy corners, which we want. Press out all of those seams. Use a pokey tool if you need one. Stuff that lining inside the pouch. Poke out those zipper ends that we had sewn on. You will see a slight gap there. That is okay. That is to make it so we don't have a bunch of bulkiness right at that seam. So make sure you poke those out really good. And also make sure that your lining is sitting nice and flat inside the zipper pocket. We are not going to close up that zipper pocket. It will get closed up when we start installing the guts of this onto the main panel, so we don't have to worry about sewing that shut. It'll happen with the construction. Now all that's left to do is along that bottom side, go ahead and top stitch it. See how straight that zipper looks? That's because of the zipper foot. Okay, so now we're going to go back. We have our exterior piece here. We're going to take our card slots, and we want to place our card slots as center as we can. I'm actually going to put a little bit of double-sided tape in the very center back of my card slots. You can do this if you're on a domestic machine as well. You will not be sewing through this. It's just going to help hold it in place. Flip this over, and we want to center these card slots the best that we can on this main exterior piece. When you get it to a place you like, I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple clips to hold the card slots up here so they don't move while I go ahead and take my double-sided tape. You're going to see the double-sided tape is going to go right over that turning hole there. We're almost close to closing that up. Now you're going to take these sides and you're going to put them nice and tight up against the raw edges of our card slots. You want these to be as tight as they possibly can because this is going to make it so those raw edges are enclosed and help us form our wallet. We're going to go down each side with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Use a longer stitch length with this. As it is a little bit thick, especially if you're using vinyl like I am. Make sure your bobbin thread is as pretty as your top thread because it's definitely going to show on the exterior side of the wallet. Same with the other side. Okay, once that's done, you want to double check that you caught all of your edges, which we did. You want to make sure your credit cards still fit in all the slots, which mine do. Mine does. And now we are going to install our zipper pocket. So you want the zipper pull to be closing to the left. You want to measure up 3.5 inches, which is center, and then do a line 1/2 inch down from each, or from that center line. So now that center line, we want to line up with the center stitching of our center seam of our card slots there. Again, I'm using some double-sided tape. This will not get caught in any of our stitching, so you can definitely do this on a domestic machine. So that center line that we drew, you're going to kind of line it up with that center seam, like so. Make sure it all looks good. And then that rectangle we drew around that center line, we're going to go ahead and sew all the way around. This is going to close up our zipper lining pocket, as well as that turning hole that we used in the very beginning. So once again, make sure that your bobbin thread is as pretty as your top thread, because it's going to show through on the other side. So this is pretty much a 1-inch rectangle that we are sewing here, and it's just miraculous how it closes up that zipper pocket and closes up that turning hole for us. Now that that's done, double check that everything worked. Our lining is closed up, which it is, yay. That hole is closed up. We can't see it, so that's good. Now we are going to do the gussets. So this is a little hard to see because I'm using black, but that rectangle stitching line that we did, we're going to be using that as a guide. So where our curve starts, we're going to put it at the 3.5 mark, and we want to make a mark 3.5 inches in from that curve, like so. And then line that up with the ends of that 1-inch line. I will bring it up closer so you can see more what I have done here. These are going to be guides for our, see, like so, for our gussets. So you can see how those lines match up with that rectangle we sewn. We're going to take our coin pocket and line the side up with the first line, hold it with clips, same with the other side. Hold it with a clip, and do the same with the little divider, just to make sure everything is going to go together well before we actually start punching holes or sewing these gussets. So once you have those there, kind of give it a test to make sure everything lines up properly, which it looks amazing. Okay, now I just eyeball this. I'm using large rivets from Emmaline bags. You're going to pinch this in. I think I've gone about 1 inch down from the zipper and 3/4 of an inch in from the sides. You're going to punch through all of those layers. So the gusset side, both of them, and straight through that zipper pocket, like so. And then go ahead and fold everything out of the way and set that rivet. So you're kind of pinching it, having the rest of the wall that you can see is kind of squished out of the way so we can get in and do that rivet. Now we want to do the other side. Now you know how far to go in, mainly because you want that zipper to be super taut and straight. So kind of pinch where you're going to go, decide where you're going to put that rivet, and punch it in. Again, it could be different for everybody. Just kind of use your, just kind of eyeball it and make sure that it's nice and taut, that zipper. The large rivets really do help here when you're using vinyl. So that's the first one done. You're going to do the exact same thing with that divider pocket. So there we go. There's my 4 rivets holding those gussets straight, and look how perfect it turned out. So happy with it. We're done. All right, that's it. That's all. I just love the Necessary clutch wallet. There are also two other sizes you can make of this. There's the mini Necessary clutch wallet, and then there is one, it's called the NCWXL, and all you do for that one is enlarge your pieces to 125%, and it makes a really, really cute clutch. I'm thinking I may do a tutorial on that eventually to show how to do that. Not sure when that will be. Anyways, I do hope that you guys like this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you want to support my channel further, you can definitely buy me a coffee. That link is down below. And if you're interested in doing any of my sew-along classes on the membership side, that link and how to join is down below as well. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or message me on social media. Until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye!